Okay, so I had to let this plane fly over. Anywho, I'm currently writing something, and I'm gonna read a little bit of it. Um, I kind of like want to disclose the title of the book, but then again, it's like it is what it is. Like, let me tell you something. I know it's bigger than money. It's bigger than it being a bestseller internationally, globally. Like I already know this. It's the confidence in even writing certain things because again, I know I have an audience where people don't watch YouTube. So this is also for people who read, who read a lot. And I'm bringing you into a world of a man with a mother wound. Um, and I'm gonna just keep dropping gems on you because I know a lot of people never saw this coming. Speaking is one thing, but writing is another. Because writing, I can give so many details, but again, everyone is not. Everyone doesn't like to sit down and listen to a YouTube. Some people like to read. And so again, it's also gonna be gonna have this in audio. It's gonna be a lot of things because it's gonna be even more amazing to hear my own voice and from the person who wrote it. But the title is "A Letter from a Man with a Mother Wound" or with mother wounds. Um, and the way I write is so unique because I speak from my perspective, but it's more in a more intellectual way to where I'm reaching an audience of so many people to where it brings you into a world of modern day men who are unaware of a mother wound, modern day women, present day women who are unaware that how they also have enabled it unconsciously, um, being a bridge from a woman. Let me get some chapstick. From a woman, unconsciously doing the best she could, or women, and also who grew up in certain demographics who did not realize like the effects of how a system and certain things were created that um, a lot of men would never recognize that they have a lot of mother wounds or they have internal battles, spiritual warfare going on. So with that being said, um, this is gonna be so amazing. I had to make a little snippet video because I'm telling you, like, I every woman has to read this, no matter if you are um come from someone who has dealt with mother wounds or you have some, but the perspective of a man is completely different, because I'm logically speaking from my own experiences, but also making it a collective thing from me to we. So M to the W. But other than that, it's also to reach audience to where, after, people who will like to uh, be open to the fact of how a mother wound operates, what it looks like, a behavior pattern. For instance, I'm going to read something that I that I've written in here. It don't matter what I say. That it's just I try to make things as much as relatable as I can, um, because that's what makes my writing so unique, and I'm honored to have this gift because in my childhood I was an avid writer. Like I was telling someone how in my childhood, how we would do writing prompts, and I would write 5 and 6 pages like that. And I would have loved to have better feedback from my teachers or someone else, but it was never there. And then it's very different because in certain demographics where you are darker and stuff that a lot of people won't be able to relate because they're not used to that experience. So it was very much different. So now I'm evolving to speaking in this aspect and sharing it this way. So I'm gonna read this part where it says I, but I put we, and I'm speaking to the collective of women because in here it's like I'm speaking to the women who aren't aware of this, who will read about it and have a different sense of awareness. It says, we grant us grace as I stand in the gap intentionally as a representation of the false empowered patriarchal who, due to the unawareness of my karmic behavior patterns, that has tried to diminish every part of the creation of the woman, unconsciously holding on to the distorted feminine that give birth to the wounded masculinity displayed on this physical plane through my actions. So it's like a bigger picture of what has transpired, whether some men or all men are unaware of it, and then bringing, other people's, bringing women into that removing them from the spotlight, but also bringing people into that world of becoming more aware of what has been transpiring or what has been unfolding before us. So, due to the, if you want to call it shadow work or facing yourself or facing myself, I'm able to channel these things and speak from an experience, from that distorted femininity, and also seeing how the wounded masculinity has operated through both men and women. And speaking from my perspective, as I'll continue, is that I want our women to know this, especially as I read this. I or we don't know how to love you correctly because I didn't know how to love myself. We, as most men, have fooled ourselves to create a norm. I had to do a spell check. Create a norm around disempowering the very thing that fuels our life, our existence, our lineages, our source of comfort, home, and security. The greatest reminder of purity, love, and transformation. That will be our daughters, mamas, and women. And created systems from men who drain the life force from the source of all living organisms and species. From a man who faced and still currently facing, navigating the waters of his mother wounds, and I'm speaking for myself. Most men are still drowning or lost at sea. What is this? Something to do. I'm gonna let that pass. Gotta let the distractions pass. I think they cutting grass. So I started with this. From a man who faced and still currently navigating the waters of his mother wounds. And before I go to the next segment or sentence, let me give y'all game, especially a lot of our women who are in relationships, marriages, and so forth. The healing journey is a lifelong journey. So when I say from a man who faced and still currently navigating the waters of his mother wounds, that means all men. I don't care, as you'll see as I read into this, what their status, career, what they have. They either pushing it down, suppressing it, or they ignore it through the capitalism, through the false empowerment of the patriarchal that doesn't empower the matriarchal. This is the representation of the men you see today. And again, majority, as in a sense of like what you see your structures built around that are currently crumbling. So most men are still drowning or lost at sea, suffocating from the safety blanket their mother pretended to give them, but left them abandoned and out in the cold emotionally, spiritually, and physically, leaving most men who has aged into their adulthood masking behind their careers, status, carrying emotional discord connected to their emotional cord developed in the womb and through childhood from their mother, grandmother, or matriarchal figure. I'm going to leave y'all with that and let that resonate in season, because that whole thing in itself will show you present day. Let this lawnmower go by. That will show you present day what you are experiencing, whether you know it or not unconsciously, of what is happening or what has happened in your relationships, partnerships, businesses, and so forth. As I said before, all men hold an image of a woman. And if it's not of a foundation that is empowering the matriarchal, then they are a representation of a false patriarchal system that falsely empowers or upholds an image that they empower women when their relationships with their mother or the matriarchal figures in their life, if it's not rooted in integrity, authenticity, empowering, truth and love, things of a higher frequency, then you are with or are a part of a system or business or whatever you want to call it that enables you as women to be disempowered so that they can feed and siphon off that very distorted way of you being wounded, I should say. So I just wanted to share that. Peace and blessings. Shalom.